Welcome to the ASUS channel. Deal with it.
Well, at least they're UV coated.
I don't know what's happening, but I'm confused. What's going on?
I have no idea. I'm not wearing these anymore. So yeah, it's kind of ASUS week this week. So sorry, we'll never do another ASUS video again. How's that?
Well, this is a refresh, not a platform launch, so it'll only be 60 videos as opposed to 120.
We're going to get them done in just a few days. So here's what's going to happen over the next few days. ASUS sent JJ. Everyone always in the comments is like, how much did they pay you for that? They didn't pay us anything. In fact, I invited every other company to come down and send someone to show us all their new features. It's all about giving you guys an education. So they happen to have JJ who can help us out with that. So he comes down and gives us an education on the motherboards and deal with it. Come on, all right, it's enough of that. Let's talk about.
We like knowing what the stuff is. It's like the engineers did stuff, and this is our direct line to the engineers, and we do ask them things.
Yeah, I'm not justifying anything anymore. It's just Sprint. Sprint is putting the brakes on. Why do I read headlines as if they matter? Sprint is doing something a bit weird right now. You know, Sprint offers the unlimited data, but they just send out notices to people in really congested, busy areas that get lots of traffic, and I guess they're pretty much saturated. So what they told everybody is that during the most active times of day, they're going to be throttling their service. So, I mean, I thought it was unlimited. They said it was unlimited. It's not unlimited anymore. What is this garbage?
I'm on the fence about this, because they claim it's only 5% of users, and their service is ridiculously overloaded. And so I'm not necessarily opposed to some sort of fair queuing system that, given adequate infrastructure, which is the key operator there, that everyone has a fair shot at the same level of access. And so if you are a data hog and you're using up a ton of stuff all the time, and maybe if I use less data than you, I've got a better shot at the infrastructure during peak hours. If that's well executed, I don't know that there's necessarily a problem with that. But if they do this as an excuse not to upgrade their infrastructure, then clearly that's a problem.
Keep an eye on it. I'm not going to say that I trust Sprint at all, but they seem to be better than most at this kind of nonsense. All right, anyway, Amazon. You know what? This is not about Amazon. This is about the USPTO. The U.S. Patent Trademark Office has approved the most asinine patent in the history of the universe world. Amazon, they filed for a patent about 3 years ago for just a photography patent. Here's the patent, basically. An object or a person with a white backdrop with some lights set up. They take the picture. Now that process is owned by Amazon. If you take a picture of something and you use a white backdrop with kind of a slope at the bottom, see there's this little sloper-y thing here. So if you take a picture of, that, you're infringing on Samsung's patent.
Samsung.
How about Amazon? I don't even know. They're all patent insane these days.
Amazon Sung? Is that a predicted? Are we talking about a merger? Are we breaking the news? No, that's not what's happening.
Well, I mean, something's going to have to happen to stop Alibaba once they come over to the USA.
This literally, you have to look at the diagram to understand how absurd this is, because it's literally taking a picture that has a backlit background behind somebody. It's like, we're going to use lights to light up a background behind somebody so that when we front light somebody, there's no shadows. That's what their patent is. I'm pretty sure we've been doing that since the 1930s, if not before.
Yeah, but nobody thought to put a patent on it. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. Nobody thought to put it. How stupid could everybody be? You should have put a patent on it. You had an idea. Hey, I'm going to go lay on the floor. Wait, I better patent it. No one else can lay on the floor. I will sue anyone who lays on the floor.
The patent, actual text, like not even making things up. A subject can be photographed and or filmed on the elevated platform to achieve a desired effect of substantially seamless background where a rear edge of the elevated platform is imperceptible to an image capture device positioned at the image capture position. Uh-oh, better call in the police for your next yearbook photo.
Is everyone such a driveling moron that is such a lofty idea that it requires a patent or merits a patent. And what are they going to do? Are they going to start going after wedding photographers? Are they going to start going after fruit photographers and, you know, like food photographers? Fruit. What are you? I'm a fruit photographer, honey.
I mean, haven't you guys seen that, like, sell your stuff on eBay kit that comes with, like, a portable light box? I mean,
It basically comes with this exact kit right here.
yeah. You put your crap inside the canvas tent and take a picture.
It's now the Amazon infringement package on eBay. I'm going to challenge everyone. I want everyone out there to infringe upon this patent from Amazon. I want you guys all to send this picture to me, and we will make a montage of you on white backgrounds. I am not joking. I want to make a montage of people on white backgrounds. The main reason they said that they wanted to do this is because they wanted to cut down in post-production, because when you take a product photo, you have to remove all the white and make it a nice, just even white background. And they wanted to cut down all of the post, so they patented this brilliant idea to just take a picture with something with a white background and not have to go into Photoshop and clean up the Amazon. God, what the hell, man?
So this is what happens when nerds reinvent an entire industry. It's like, we came up with this thing, it's brilliant. And meanwhile, photographers are like, you nerds.
I've had about enough of that nonsense. Let's just move right along here. So, I'm just reading headlines now. It's like 1 a.m, guys. So if this sucks, then don't watch it.
Or this is the best time. It could go either way.
This is probably going to be a great episode.
No.
Let's just read some headlines and then talk about it. Major ISP is accused of deliberately throttling traffic. So, Mark Taylor, he is he's from level 3. Now, level 3, you could probably sum up, what level 3 is without stuttering as much as I will.
Level 3 completely 100% transparently explains exactly who they are. Level 3 has 51 peers that are interconnected in 45 cities through over 1,360 10 gigabit Ethernet ports, plus a few smaller ports. The distribution of that capacity with individual peers ranges from a single 10 gigabit Ethernet port to 148 10 gigabit ports.
So they're like an ISP for ISPs.
They are an ISP for ISPs. But, I mean, look how large and small they are. Large in terms of capacity. That is an insane amount of capacity. I mean, their smallest customer is buying 10 gigabits of internet from them. Just one. But their largest customer is buying 148 times 10 gigabit.
So here's the problem right now. Comcast wants everyone to pay them for everything. They think that their customers are so valuable to everyone else that they want everyone to pay for it. So here's what's going on. Tier 3 says that the connections to Comcast, a lot of those connections are completely saturated.
Level 3.
I mean, level 3. I always said Tier 3, level 3. You sure it's not Tier 3?
It's level 3. We always make that mistake. It's always level 3.
Why do I always say Tier 3? Why do I always do that?
I don't know.
Why do I do that? I got like hate mail, and all the hate mail said was, "God damn it, it's level 3," and that's the only thing the email said. Nothing else.
Sorry.
Anyway,
I try to catch it. I don't always catch it.
I always say tier, but what's level 3? But they're a tier 1 ISP.
They're the ISP. So your ISP is small potatoes because it's only got 148 10 gigabit ports, whereas this company, which is one of a number of companies, really we could describe accurately this consortium of ISPs that provide backbone services as a public trust, or a public-private partnership, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, this one company has 148 ports, but their entire customer base is 1,360 10 gigabit Ethernet ports, plus a few smaller ports, they say. So I'm not sure what that means, but it's probably a couple of dozen or maybe a few hundred, like 1 gigabit ports, but that's just, small potatoes, doesn't even matter. And so they provide backbone services. This trust of companies, more than just level 3, provide the core backbone, and they only deal in really big numbers. And so most ISPs would just buy service from them. But we've got some ISPs that are so large that they're playing games like Comcast. They've got so many customers that if Comcast refuses to buy service from them, that, Comcast customers don't know that all the websites they have trouble getting to are through a level 3 transit. And so if they've got better service through level 3 than, say, some other, like maybe SprintLink or I don't know, some other, tier 1 ISP, then those sites are okay, but whatever sites you have to get to through level 3 are bad. So Cogent was Netflix, And so to get to Netflix, you had to go through Cogent. And so they weren't buying service from Cogent. And so you had problems with the traffic. And so here we have it happening again. But the guy that runs level 3 is completely transparent here. It's like, here's all my stuff.
Yeah, the guy's name is Mark Taylor, and here's exactly what he says about what's going on. He said that the ports that Comcast is using they're completely saturated, and he's been telling Comcast, hey, these ports are completely saturated. Your customers are paying for access to the internet, and then it's your job to buy access from us so that they can get to whatever content they're trying to get at. They have to go through this. That's how it works. Customers pay Comcast. Comcast pays for them because they're providing pretty much a backbone, and Comcast looks at him and like, oh, well, why don't you pay for it? That's what happened. So the ports are completely saturated. Comcast is not upgrading. They're not paying for extra, stuff. So therefore, they're not giving the customers what the customers are paying for. And quote unquote from Taylor, he said they are not allowing us to fulfill the requests their customers make for content. That's the bottom line right here. And this is troubling to me, because this is not, level 3. I said it right. Level 3 is they're not, a company like Netflix or Disney.com or whatever. They're not a website. You know what I mean? They're not.
They're a network. Their business is to provide that connectivity. So without doing this, I mean, clearly, anyone who looks at this and understands the situation, this is clear abuse, like monopoly abuse. If a regulator were to actually examine this and, not be bribed or freshly, bribed and looking at it rationally, this is monopoly abuse. These are the providers, the customers. An ISP is in the business of providing internet access. These guys are providing the internet access. The internet service provider cannot themselves create the internet. That's what a bulletin board was way back in the day. That's what AOL was. That's what CompuServe was. And to say that, Comcast provides the internet just on its own internal network is not correct.
I'm going to make the worst analogy ever. It's as if it's as if I thought I was so awesome that I could go buy a sandwich and then force the sandwich shop to pay me for it.
Yes.
That's pretty much what it is. Anyway, that's the worst. Let's just move right along. So there's now a huge coalition of companies that have come together to oppose the FCC's net neutrality nonsense. Those companies include Amazon, Microsoft, Google, eBay, Facebook, Netflix, Twitter, Yahoo. I mean, there's a huge list of different companies here. And guess who is not on that list?
Apple.
Apple, they're not on the list.
Well, the reason for that is because, well, this is just conjecture, but Apple's working on a content distribution deal that is with the television companies and for Apple TV. And so that's why Apple was not part of this net neutrality thing. And there's actually, like, when the first draft of the show, we had like 60 articles about all the net neutrality stuff and all the big industry heavyweights that were coming out saying to the FCC, what the heck are you doing? Are you crazy? So to just sum it up, there's a ton of articles. Go read them. It's a lot of developments here. But the big takeaway is that other members of the FCC commission are now saying, hey, Wheeler, what are you doing? What are you doing? So now Wheeler stands alone with this lunacy, and pretty much everybody's on board to reclassify ISPs as under Title II so that they'll be common communications carriers so that they will stop this nonsense.
Yep. Jennifer Rosenworcel. Jennifer from the FCC, she's one of the commissioners. I mean, her basic stance right now is that she's really worried about Wheeler. A lot of the other people are really worried about Wheeler. And so at this point, she's not even like exactly coming out and, telling him he's crazy or, making that much of a stand. All she is saying is that, hey, Wheeler, you're rushing ahead with this. You're forcing something into a talk when it's extremely premature. We do not need to be talking about this in the May talks. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got spectrum auctions coming up. We should be talking about the spectrum auctions and not this. But he seems to be extremely motivated, as if there were some external force shoving money into his ears. So he's like, really motivated to put this on a fast track and get this, pushed through before May. But here in this message here, one of the main things that she's saying is we need to sit back and wait for the time, wait for the public to respond. He's ignoring her. He doesn't want the public to respond.
This entirely is completely 100% a smokescreen. It is There is no legitimate purpose here for this. The courts have already ruled on this issue. The courts have twice said that no rules that they would draft have any teeth. So this is like akin to creating a set of rules that says we will not eat babies. Eating babies is bad. No one's going to disagree with that. No one's going to sue over that. And so this is not any kind of serious thing. It's completely a paper tiger. There's no point in doing this rules. It is completely lip service. It is meant to manipulate and mislead, I think. And so the courts have already looked at this and said these rules that you draft have no legal teeth. You have no enforcement capability. You would have to reclassify as Title II if you want them to follow some rules, and they haven't. And so there's no point in doing this except to be deceptive.
There's one really funny way that we can combat this, and a lot of other people. It's give them a taste of their own medicine. And there's a company out there, they're a web host called Neocities. And Neocities says they figured out the IP range that the FCC is using, and they're throttling all connections to that to 28.8 kilobits per second. That's
dial-up speeds.
That's like this. That's so slow.
But Neocities said if the FCC gives us $1,000 per year, we'll remove that 28.8 cap. But that's exactly the internet that the FCC is advocating.
I mean, more people need to do that, and it would be really nice if some major ISPs, not web hosts, but some major ISPs did this in protest. Are there any decent ISPs out there? If you're a small business owner, if you work for a small local ISP, please consider grabbing all the IP ranges that belong to the FCC and possibly other websites, and then throttling the hell out of them. Be nice and send them a letter saying that, hey, listen, we are we're in the spirit of in the entrepreneurial spirit, we have decided to take initiative to throttle your site because it uses a lot of bandwidth, and we believe that since you're using so much bandwidth, you should pay for it and give us $1,000 and we'll remove it. Please do that and send us an email. That would be awesome.
It's not really. We're not really advocating that exactly.
I think it'd be fun.
Just that if you host things for incoming connections from these IP ranges, it would be funny if you did the throttling. You shouldn't subject your customers to bad things. You should subject the people coming from their IP addresses to these things because that's what they're proposing.
How about the NSA? You want to talk about the NSA?
We can talk a little bit about the NSA.
I'm getting tired of all this stuff.
There was one article that there's a new Obama administration rule that came out, and I don't know if I sent this to you or not, but it was on Ars Technica, and intelligence employees, current and past, are now barred from citing leaks in the news. So, like if there's if a news organization like the Washington Post or something, or the Guardian covers a leak, they're not allowed. These intelligence they're not allowed to cite it. They have to behave like as if it was not leaked. And so, the intelligence community now. I mean, if you follow that ruling or that rule, I guess, to the letter, and you ask somebody who works or did work in the intelligence community about Snowden, it's like, Snowden who? I can't. I don't know
You're
anything
joking.
about
This is
Snowden.
like something that happened in Russia.
Yes, but it happened in America.
But this is a headline. This is from, isn't James Clapper a Russian? But no. but no. Okay. There's a bunch of emails that have come out, and a lot of people have been slinging some mud at Google. And apparently Google executives like Sergey Brin, who else was talking to, was talking to...
Google executives, let's say.
Just say Google executives. They were talking to Keith Alexander, the former director of the NSA, and the emails back and forth. We can go over here and take a look at the emails. Basically, to say this simply, Keith Alexander had a bunch of meetings and presentations and that sort of thing, and he was inviting Google to come to these presentations, and there was some somewhat cordial emails back and forth. These are similar to emails that a lot of people would send to other people saying, like, hey, you're going to be there on Friday, it'll be nice to see you, yes, we got some things to talk about. And as it stands, I do not see Google doing anything other than saying, yes, we'll be there. And
now is Google in a position to absolutely do more damage than anyone on these kind of intelligence gathering things? Oh, yes, absolutely. But given the level of infiltration that we know that they had, such as their internal networks didn't have encryption and, fiber optic interconnects between data centers were tapped by the intelligence community, given that and the relatively light subject matter of these emails, I would have to say that these emails are pretty innocuous in the grand scheme of things. I would much rather see emails that are like, it's like, hey, we got that fiber optic tap installed in your number 7 data center that's out in, Wyoming. Just letting you know, but it's not that.
And then Sergey Brin replying with that, great, hope it all runs well.
This is more like, hey, we're having a briefing. Can you executives come here and so we can talk about the threat that terrorists and other things propose? And it's not really a dismissive tone in some of it, but some of the stuff from Google is like, oh, that's great, General, whatever. I don't care.
Well, yeah, it's in one of them they were like, oh, I wish I could be there, but I'm busy, or I'm on the East Coast, so I can't see this time. But let me know next time, and we'll be there. I don't know why everyone's freaking out and saying that Google is evil. I'm not saying that Google is good. I believe they're looking out for their bottom line.
Oh, yeah. Google is definitely a commercial. They've got some really strong commercial interests in here. But at the same time...
I don't see any red flag. I mean, not red flag. I don't see any smoking guns. I see some there's red flags in here.
This type of surveillance is very against Google's commercial bottom line as well. So they've got a strong disincentive to play ball on this.
Let's see, what's this? There's much more net neutrality stuff here. We're almost done with this episode, except we have a special guest coming up. How do we want DRM talk? We're going to talk about DRM? I don't know.
DRM, well, it's a law book that's a real book, but you have to give it back at the end of the semester in order to get an ebook, which I don't like. I'm still scratching my head, like, why is this a thing?
Well, it violates the first sale doctrine because, if someone buys something, I mean, they should have the right to resell it if they want to.
They have the right to do with that whatever they want, so long as they're not producing new works, and there are some limitations. But if I wanted to buy a book and set it on fire, I could. If I wanted to buy a book and then sell it used, I could. That's the first sale doctrine.
So this is, they sell it once and then that's it. They can go print more and sell those, but they shouldn't be able to, claim it back and then resell the same book for the same price. So this is going to be kind of an interesting case to watch.
They want to take your real book and give you a DRM'd ebook, because we all know that DRM e-platforms are forever, and they haven't, been shed as soon as it's commercially inconvenient for whatever enterprise is running the DRM platform.
Yeah. All right, just a couple more things to talk about. Facebook. Now, there's an interesting article here on Computer World called Inside Facebook's Brilliant Plan to Hog Your Data. So Facebook has this new thing called anonymous login, and I guess Computer World is casting this as sort of a sheep in wolf's clothing. What anonymous login does is it allows you to log in and basically use your Facebook identity to log into several various websites and apps, but you do so somewhat anonymously, but the name of it seems to be a bit disingenuous because you log in anonymously at first. And when Zuckerberg was making his speeches, he was like, well, yeah, you're anonymous until you decide that you trust that publisher, or you're anonymous initially, or it seems like eventually you have to go in and decide how much information you want to share with them, and there's probably going to be incentives. But it's a new initiative from Facebook to make it seem as though they are not exactly blatantly sharing your data with everyone that you touch. If that makes any sense?
No, it's completely the most convoluted thing ever. It is. It's like, okay, you want to play Farmville, but you don't want Farmville to be able to immediately harvest and trawl your entire profile. So now, with apps on Facebook and websites that support this anonymous login thing, you can use your Facebook account to log into those sites, but Facebook is saying, we're not sharing who you are. We're just giving that site a unique identifier that represents you. So you can take it for a spin, and then you can decide if you really need to share your identity or you need to share other things with that particular app.
So essentially they're like getting people hooked on things, using the blanket of, hey, everything's safe and then you're anonymous. And then when you really want to get down to business, it's like, all right, we'll share your details and you can have the rest.
Yep.
It's like the shareware model.
Yep.
You can have the first 10 levels. If you want the rest, you got to get naked and bend over.
Yeah, so like if you're playing the game, the first 10 levels, you might play quote unquote anonymously, But then for level 11, it might need to know your identity, or it might want your identity. And then when you give it your identity for level 11, it retroactively can make all of your previously anonymous actions not anonymous, or they could go into a marketing database or whatever. And honestly, marketers have been doing that for years. Amazon's been doing that kind of thing for years. And so this is more of a platform way to do that, where you can actually have a login and have it tied to a person, but now that's locked up with Facebook. But here's the commercial thing. That makes Facebook sort of a man in the middle between advertisers and end users. And commercially, that puts Facebook in a really, really good spot.
Now they're a broker of data.
Yes, exactly.
Well, here's the thing that I want to ask. Is this better than what they currently do? Because right now, when you use your Facebook login, it just shares your information. Is this going to be a step in the right direction as far as that's concerned? Because now it's initially not sharing all of your private data. It does that later at a different time, or maybe not at all if you decide not to. I mean, and he also said that you have control over individual details. If you want to share your name and your age, but not your birthday, well, there's going to be an individual checkbox for each one of those. So it sounds like there's more options as far as what you share, but I don't know. I just don't see how this is any different than what they're already doing, and maybe it's a little better than what they're already doing. But I think the thing that bothers me is that it just seems like a sheep in wolf's clothing, because they're still doing what they've always been doing, but now they're making it sound like they're being anonymous.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So that's what bothers me.
Yeah, Facebook still knows who you are and what you're doing, and so
they still sell it.
You're going to get ads based on that.
Speaking of knowing what you are and what you're doing, let's talk about big data. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. No. So big data could be used to catch future criminals. Have you ever seen the movie Minority Report? If you ever seen the movie Minority Report, you're going to know what I'm talking about. In that movie, the way it works is they have a bunch of psychics that lay in a room and they dream up, hey, this guy is going to kill somebody. And so before he kills somebody, they send the police out to get him. So in the real world, the way this works is they use big data. And Kenneth Coquier, I think I said that right, Coquier, I don't know. He's a data editor at the Economist magazine, and he thinks this is a really interesting and good thing. And they've actually tested this before in the field. Pardon me. Pardon me again. The LAPD used this in 2012, and they use just all the data that comes in. And big data is just everything. It's just there's massive amounts of data. And what they were able to do is they were able to use that data to calculate where crimes may take place, and then they would the computer would actually give the squad cars orders. So the orders were not coming from a sergeant, the orders were not coming from a dispatcher. The computer was saying, squad cars, please go troll around this area at around this time of day. Crime dropped 20% in those areas. So I guess the future that Coquier, I hope I'm saying your name right, man, the future that he sees is one where we could use big data to really predict exactly who and what is going to happen. And right now, we already know that they can pretty much predict with like a 90% accuracy where you're going to be within, I don't know, a few meters at almost any time in any day. That's how, big data works. It's kind of crazy. So what are the implications of this technology? I mean, here the editor from The Economist says it's going to be a good thing. He says that anything that reduces crime, basically, it seems like it would be a good thing. But, he's all about using statistics and numbers to solve problems. So, I don't know. What about the margin of error? What about the innocent people?
I think too often people try to extrapolate this down to the individual level, and that's where it falls apart and doesn't work. Sure, on an aggregate level, on a trends, on a things are happening in this area, fine. Yes, it makes sense. But what's going to happen is you're going to have somebody in these hot spots, and it's like, all right, this is a hot spot. There's going to be a bunch of crimes. Go round up and arrest everybody there. And it's like, well, wait, no, that's not necessarily a thing that we should be doing or encouraging or any of that. I mean, it's just because we have people that are protesting doesn't mean we should go arrest all the people that are protesting. Just because we've got a group of people, that are all on the street in a bad part of town doesn't mean we should go arrest everybody. The other thing too is that I've seen these reports, but I don't know, I haven't seen anything in these that would not also be covered by just common sense. It's like, let's get a map of town. Let's look at where all the crimes are happening in town. there's a lot of crime happening in the bad part of town between 1 and 3 a.m. Perhaps we should send a squad car to the bad part of town between 1 and 3 a.m. I mean, it doesn't seem to be any more sophisticated than that in a lot of cases. It's not like, on Tuesdays outside the donut shop, a butterfly flaps its wings and then all of a sudden a patrol car in the north side of town is needed. I haven't seen anything like that come out of big data. Certainly it can be done. It's being done in the commercial sector because they're able to figure out that if they sell more Twizzlers, it means, whatever else.
It means the end of the world or something.
But I haven't seen that for, actual crime. It's like, domestic abuse cases go up and then murder cases go down, or I don't know how that works or what the relationship is. But this crime map thing to me just looks like there's a bunch of crime happening in this part of town. We should send patrol cars to that part of town because there's a bunch of crime happening in that town. Crime is now down because crime can't happen in that part of town anymore. It's like,
because now there's 90 police there. I don't know. I'm worried about the social implications of big data in general. And I mean, a lot of people are saying that, hey, it's going to make us safer. But the human element always bothers me because humans are going to be in control of big data and humans can make bad decisions.
I'm pretty sure this was also a plot point in some Philip K. Dick books where it's like the nerds were able to manipulate the algorithm a little bit, which would steer the police away from wherever the protagonists in the book needed to be to do something so they wouldn't be caught.
That's a good idea.
It's an arms race. It's a cat and mouse game.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's about it for this part of the tech. But right now we've got JJ here. So let's go ahead and just cut over and I'll talk to JJ right now. JJ, welcome to the tech.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
Listen, we've talked about Asus so much this week. No, we're not allowed to talk about it. So let's talk about what's your favorite sport.
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. I'm a really big baseball guy. I like baseball. Ooh. I don't get to see it as much as I'd like, but I really enjoy the game.
Sorry, the answer we were looking for was basketball.
You're right. Well, we are in Kentucky, right?
You're wrong.
I played basketball, so I like basketball. But you know what it is basketball has a clock, right? And I know some people say, well, that's the reason why they hate baseball because it's so long, right? But I love the fact you can be in the bottom of the ninth inning with 2 outs. You could be down 4 runs and your team could still come back. You know what I mean? Unlike any other sport, that can't happen. If you're in football, you're in hockey, you're in any other game, you have that clock, right?
Right.
I'd love for them to do a couple things, to maybe speed up the game. Like, I don't know what it is with batters nowadays.
Maybe turn loose some wolves on the field or something.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, even these guys, they get out of the batter's box like every 10 or 15 seconds, and it's like they got to go adjust their gloves and they're doing dance. I'm like, what?
This guy's over here doing ballet.
Hit the ball, man. It's like you go back and you look like 30, 40 years ago. This never used to happen. And the game would be so much more quick and it'd be more dynamic. But
it's a soap opera to sell tobacco.
Yeah, but you know what? I like baseball. But I love basketball also.
All right, okay. Yeah. Speaking of games, what PC games are you currently playing, or what would you recommend to the audience out there?
Oh man, I'm playing a little bit of everything. For me, my time is probably my most valuable asset. But I'm playing a mix of different things. I'm playing the beta for Infinite Crisis right now. So I'm not a huge MOBA guy, but I'm enjoying that. Mm-hmm. I'm doing Marvel Heroes where they've done a lot of specking to characters, so I'm enjoying some of that. I've been playing a little bit of Titanfall as well. Playing this cool game I was talking about Van Helsing. I'm trying to finish up.
You said it's a sprite-based game?
Yeah, it's a really cool dynamic. You've got like a secondary character that you can work with, and it's got cool, kind of like a story vibe to it. I really enjoy it. It's kind of, like, I think if any of you guys like, classic kind of like RPG, but with like a little bit of hack and slash, with like maybe not I wouldn't say not the depth, but not necessarily the depth of what you would have like in Skyrim. I think you'll find this a really interesting and fun game, and they're actually going to be coming out with the second version of the game. The sequel to the game is going to be coming up. So I've really been enjoying that. I'm almost done with Need for Speed, the last version that came out, and like I said, I'm working on Ghost and also Company Heroes because they've been doing some really big patches. Like I'm a big RTS guy, and I've even got a couple of other ones that are sprinkled in that I haven't finished as well. So I usually like play games for like an hour, and then I'll jump into another one, and then like the next day I try to play for an hour, and then I go back and I replay the same level because I forgot what I was playing.
So whenever you have a free hour, you just play something.
Yeah, I just try to play something, and at least half of the games I try to play with something that has like a story arc built into it, so I can enjoy and kind of keep going deeper into it. BioShock, I haven't finished BioShock Infinite, but I've been trying to play through that, so that's an example. But like if I jump into Company Heroes, even though I haven't finished the campaign, if I want to, I can just jump into that and play a map session against the AI and, totally get destroyed by the damn AI. So, it is what it is. But, if I can, I love to game, and I wish I could do it more often.
Well, you know what? Speaking of fun and also travel, you travel a lot, right?
Not so much anymore. I mean, since I rotated out of the technical marketing position and now I'm doing what I'm doing now, not so much. But it was great to be able to travel and come out and see you guys.
Well, a lot of the audience out there, they would probably be envious and want a job where they get to play with technology, on a daily basis and travel. So, what did you do before you got here?
So before I did this, that's actually a lot of stuff that I did. But if we go back to immediately right before...
What was the thing that kind of led into it?
Yeah, well, immediately right before I joined ASUS, I worked for Best Buy, and I worked for their Geek Squad division. So actually I did a number of different facets within that company, helping them to scale it out and work towards progressing what they were doing there. And a couple of things changed as far as the dynamic and the structure that they were moving towards. And, I decided that my background, which actually was in private consultation, system integration, white box, things along those lines, I wanted to progress upon that. But then I decided to move back to the Bay Area. And when I found out about the Bay Area, and I was like, oh, hey, ASUS is actually headquartered there, and they were actually moving their headquarters facility. I was like, you know what, I've always wanted to work for a component vendor, so I decided to go actually and apply for the company, and that's what segued into that. And then before that, I had actually other jobs, including owning my own business and doing, like I said, system consultation, integration, white box, and stuff like that.
Had you traveled much before you started working at ASUS?
Not really that much actually. When I first started working for ASUS, outside of the traveling that I had done for Best Buy, it had never even been on a plane. It was just in a Beetle, right? Was that what they drive? Yeah. So, I don't drive.
Or a van?
So I hadn't even been in that situation. I actually had people drive me around. It was
you worked at the Geek Squad, but you had a chauffeur. If someone needed an installation or something, you had to be like Jeeves to bring the car.
Well, they're
going to install a stereo.
They had different classifications as far as people that would go on site and be able to do different things. And so I also helped to run internal stores. So I didn't necessarily always have to be outside. And when I did, I had people that supported me and of course took me out there. So yeah, I had a system that was set up to be able to allow me to maximize where I needed to be and who I needed to assist.
Were you the guy at Best Buy where like all the other geeks were like, hold on, let me go ask JJ. Were you that guy? Like, someone would come up to the front and they'd have some really weird issue and they'd be like, hold on, I'm going to go ask JJ. Is that you?
That was me. That was me.
Yeah,
but, it was, I think retail, a lot of people give retail employees, the big grill, as far as being that the experience is really subpar. But, coming actually from my background where I was very technical, hands-on, had, a large amount of experience, that was actually the excitement. I really thought what the company was doing with having a national service brand was actually something that was going to be really innovative, and ultimately it went in a different direction, like I said, than I think a lot of the people that first joined in and what the focus was going to be, but there's something extremely gratifying about what I do now. It's gratifying in the same way of when I got the opportunity to help people. There's nothing like having somebody come over to you and not really understand their technology and have it not work for them and be able to help them understand this is what's wrong, this is how we can make it work right for you, and be able to see that whole circle. It's a really gratifying thing for me. And so being able to do what I do now, as far as being able to work with the technology, listen to your guys' feedback, be able to design, the products with our, product management, our engineering team, and see these final products. It's pretty much the same thing. I just don't get to directly do it with a person, in a direct kind of A and B kind of mechanism. It's now kind of on a much bigger scale. It rolls out. But, when I get to come out to you and you guys get to see the product, or I get to see people's responses, it's super awesome to be able to see like, wow, you know what? I really love that feature, or I like that design, or I like that functionality, or what you guys have done here. So it's an extension of that's been really gratifying.
So this is another question for the viewers out there, and also the people that are as enthusiastic as you about components and that sort of thing. You came from Best Buy to ASUS. And did you just walk in, or did you know someone? Did you send them a resume? How did you get in the door?
So I guess it's an interesting proposition because I came from actually I think financially and position wise really well, coming out from my own company and businesses and things along those lines, and going into Best Buy and actually having a very good position and I'd say being financially in a very good position. And when I left from the pursuit of wanting to try to do something that was interesting and exciting to me. So when I saw the opportunity for ASUS, I went in for a much lower level position than probably somebody with my, I guess, experience and aptitude.
But you were willing to go to maybe.
But
right?
I said, because you know what, I had that kind of focus in myself to say, this is what I want to be able to do, and I feel that if I can do it, hopefully the right people will be able to see what I can do, and I'll be given that opportunity. Like right now, the position that I'm in within the marketing team and the technical marketing team and what I've kind of been promoted into, I didn't start off when I joined the company. I literally signed in to just let me be part of your technical support department. So the basic kind of line level employee in their customer service department. And when I had their interview with their customer service supervisor, he was like, "You're way overqualified for this." And I was like, "I don't care. Just give me the opportunity. I guarantee I'll be the best person you can possibly have in that position." And, they said, "Yeah, for sure. We'd love to have you. We can't pay you this." And I was like, "That's fine. I don't care." And I was really lucky. And so from there, after a short period of time, I did really well in that department, got recognized, and that team helped to pass my kind of, I guess, performance and abilities that they were aware of to our marketing team. And normally our structure actually is to hire externally. It's usually you don't get necessarily a lot of internal, I'd say, promotion, especially for the marketing department. They tend to kind of go out and look at different people from different places. But I was given that opportunity, and our marketing director, I think it shows actually a big insight for her. She's actually come from a lot of different companies, and what was really cool is she was like, "I don't want somebody with a necessarily a marketing background that could provide value," but she really valued my real world hands-on experience with the technology from being an integrator, being hands-on passionate about being able to build my own systems, having that experience of how you can deal with customers and the technology, and having that excitement says like, what, we can work with you at understanding the other aspects of quote unquote marketing, but also really listen to the perception that I had, where I was like, what, I'm a user, and when I go out there and I'm looking for content, I don't go to any of these things that you guys say is relevant from a marketing perspective. And that's, I think, a pretty big thing for somebody in their position to say, what, we're willing to buck the trend as far as integrating that, and I've been really lucky with the guys like you that I think have also acknowledged that fact that historically when you kind of talk to like a marketing representative, usually, you get the glossed over perspective, like I'm going to talk to somebody that doesn't really know the hardware, has never really dealt with it, doesn't understand the technical minutiae or the experiences of it. And I think that's where I've had a really great synergy, not only with, community of users and builders, but with technical reviewers like yourself, because we're the same type of people.
So I mean, basically, to distill it down, you were humble enough to get in the door, and then this happened. You're really good at
I've been
move up a little bit.
I've been very lucky in that respect, and I just I put the best foot forward, man. And sometimes you throw stuff out there and you don't know exactly how it's gonna turn out, but it's cheesy, man. My very first system that I built, I remember it. My brother scrapped together his money from being a waiter, and he wanted to build a computer. He was going to build a computer. His best friend let him down entirely, left him with this piece of hardware that was out on our front porch, and it actually got infestation in it, so there was like cockroaches and stuff inside there.
in the PC?
Yeah, and like inside the PC, and it freaked him out, and he didn't know what to do, and the friend disappeared and didn't want to help him do anything. And I'd been reading about computers, and I'd been doing stuff, and I said, let me try. I'll try to figure it out. And, so I read through the manual, I took everything apart, I cleaned it, and I put it all together, and we got our first running system. And that system actually was based off of a P2B board from ASUS, and kind of, like from there, it seems kind of cheesy, but then I always kept using ASUS hardware. I progressed into other jobs where I kept an affinity for it. And so, like, when I had the chance to join for the company, I was like, that's what I want to do.
If you're just joining us, this is heartwarming. All right, one more fun question. I'll let you get back to the bed and breakfast. The same bed and breakfast.
Yes.
The one that we force everyone to stay at, the awkward bed and breakfast.
It hasn't been so bad, but you're right. Last year I had some interesting conversation, let's say.
I'll make a phone call. All right, so you get to go to a lot of conventions. What is your favorite and why?
Oh, my favorite convention. I've been to a lot of really big ones, and I've been to really small ones, and I'll say, actually, I like talking to people. I like going to any convention. I don't really personally have a favorite one. I mean, I've been to QuakeCon, I've been to PAX, I've been to BlizzCon, I've been to, Maker Faire, I've been to Engadget Expand, Computex, CES, all kinds of stuff. And they're cool, but I really do find the most gratifying thing that I can possibly have is talking to people that actually get to use our hardware. And even it's not our hardware. Sometimes I talk to people and I was like, why'd you buy this MSI board? Or why'd you buy EVGA's graphics card? I want to know. I want to make it so, not necessarily to be from the perspective of saying that we want no competition, because competition forces innovation and it creates interesting dynamics. But I'm an enthusiast, and I like talking to people about hardware and about their experiences when they put together stuff. I find it personally one of the most gratifying things you can do in life. So I like going to any of these things to be able to talk to people about it.
I mean, I'm gonna force you to pick one. What if people not involved, and you can only go to one convention a year to see all the cool stuff that's out? Which one would that be?
Oh, you know what? I would
just from the stuff that's
if
there.
I probably had to then pick, I'd probably say Computex, just because CS is cool, but CS is like way more broad, and it's consumer electronics and TVs and all kinds of stuff. And I'm a big audio guy, and I love a lot of that other hardware, but I love DIY. So Computex is going to really have all the cool computer stuff, the fans, the heat sinks, the graphics cards, motherboards, and all that stuff. So I'd probably say Computex.
Awesome. All right, JJ from Asus. If you guys have questions for JJ, you guys can post them on the forum right now. There's a link in the description. You click on that, you can ask any questions about the new Z97 launch. You can ask JJ, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I'll be checking out the thread, and I'll be posting feedback, and we'll be doing a separate Q&A video where we'll answer hopefully as many questions as we can for you guys, and I'll do my best to go ahead and follow up with that. And also, please respect if I can't answer some of the questions sometimes, because sometimes you ask stuff about products that I can neither confirm nor deny, or they might be out in terms of time frames or stuff like that. I wish I could give you guys all that information, but I'm in a position sometimes I have to minimize some of that information delivery, but I will do my best.
Yeah, what about that dual socket 2011 990FX hybrid AM3 Plus?
No comment.
You can't talk about it, I'm sorry, but it is coming out. It's X70 990FX. All right, that's enough, JJ. Good to see you.
Good to see you, boss.